Hey everyone, I am the open door or an open door, and uh, it's Cindy. It's Friday, December 27th, and we are in a meeting called Reality Check. This is when the group that gets together, and I have heard that if you listen to the replays, you can have a direct experience as well, right? Um, we've set the intention to have a direct experience of the truth. And at the moment, we're using Helen Hamilton's book, Reality Check, simply as a way to bring the truth to our awareness and allow for the grace of that direct experience. The grace. See, that came from yesterday's meeting, which hasn't been processed yet. Um, but allowing for giving an opportunity for the grace to hit us. As is our practice, I have found very new. It's 7 minutes. It's a question and answer from the very sad song that Amy's listening to, but I have a 7 minute um, exchange um, with Helen Hamilton and someone who's asking a question, and then we will pull up. Um, pull up the book and begin to read and experience, and we'll talk about that a little bit, how that works. But first, just checking in, make sure if anybody wants to say anything at all before we listen and experience Helen for about 7, 8 minutes.
Just thank you, and it's great to be here. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, here we go. Helen Hamilton. Let's rework first. And the title of this 7 minute and 17 second exchange is What is this mysterious I?
After?
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I want to share a little bit something that is very exciting. And it's, as it happens, very much in line with what you've been saying during the satsang. And I made a very strange discovery the other day. And that discovery has since then turned into a curiosity, and this curiosity then into an obsession, I would say. Yeah. And what happened was that a few days ago, I was thinking about this word I. Yeah, it's the most common word in every language, and I've said it. I can honestly say millions of times in my life. And then the other day, I thought, a very strange word, isn't it? And I thought, I have no idea what it means. I have no idea what it points to.
And we've been totally convinced that we do know.
Yeah. It's like I always assumed that I knew. So I just glanced over it, but then just, I mean, I'm now I'm saying it. I've already said it 15 times in this very conversation, and somehow it hit me. I have no idea what it points to.
And how did you feel when you realized that?
It was very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very exciting. But since then, I've had waves of both panic and relief alternating.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting stuff.
And it's just mind, isn't it? Mind saying, "Oh, that's kind of scary," but then it's also kind of freeing, says mind, when I don't know. But when I do know, I feel safer. But no, wait, I want to be. So you're just watching this back and forth going on, and Whether that goes on or not, you know now, you've seen, I don't have a clue what I is. And therefore, I don't know what not I is. I can't point to anything and say not I if I don't know what I is. Not this, not me. Well, how can I say that if I don't know what I really is?
And how can I claim to know anything if I don't know this basic thing?
Yeah.
Is
The
it-
I that
should-
claims to know, we don't even know
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah.
So yeah. I just
Best
wanted to share that.
obsession ever. Best obsession ever. This.
Yeah, it's great. And then when I align my meditation, I can think about nothing else than this because it's just so much fun.
Yeah. And it will never stop delivering. It will never. Every time you look at this, you go deeper into the mystery of I, whatever I is. I still haven't found that out. But there's a lack of want. I wouldn't even want a final answer anyway. Can you imagine now if you had some final answer to what you are? It would just be boring, wouldn't it? And it also would be untrue.
Who could have thought that not knowing something could be this exciting?
And even to get to a point as a human being where you don't want to know. I'll experience it right now. I'll find out that way. This is what I am right now. This, whatever this is. That's about as much as I want to know, right? Right now, I is this conversation or whatever is going on. Even that's a bit too much to describe ourselves.
It's
Just
funny
playfully.
when I had this discovery, I became obsessed, like I told you. I even went on Wikipedia to try to find out what Wikipedia said about this word. And it's funny because Wikipedia says everything about this word except what it is.
Yeah. Because you literally cannot define it. Or you'd have to have infinite number of definitions because I means something different to everyone, doesn't it? If we're looking in the world of definitions. And it's the shortest word, isn't it? And yet it's the most powerful thing. I. And we've always gone right past it. We've skipped right past it into I am a man or a woman or English or whatever. I'm awakened or I'm still stuck in ego or whatever. It's just so nice to just chill out before any of that.
Why isn't this being talked about more? It's a basic thing.
Every non-dual teacher is saying this in every which way they can, constantly.
Absolutely true. I just wasn't listening before.
Well, something was listening. Mind wasn't interested, but something was listening. Otherwise, we won't be having this conversation right now, would we? Something was getting through. There doesn't seem to be any progress, no progress, because we're measuring progress from how much my mind understands this. And then all of a sudden, sideways of the mind, in other news, the self just wakes up. Oh, I don't know what I is. Okay, then, that's done. Yeah. And mind's going, what? What just happened? I've got no clue.
It's the mind always wants something to chew on, and there's nothing more delicious than this thing.
Yeah. Best meal ever. It'll chew on it and chew on it and chew on it infinitely. And it's joyful, that. There's nothing wrong with thinking about this, is there? Nothing wrong with thinking in general, but this is the best thing to think about if you're going to think about anything. What's it like to not know what I am, actually? After eons in different bodies of self-definition, finally, I'm admitting the truth that I don't know. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll go to Lofter.
Sorry. All right. So, anybody have anything they'd like to speak before we turn to the book? The room is open. Please, Ron.
That was a beautiful back and forth discussion, for sure. I felt the opening to listen with the heart rather than my mind, like there was a real attention there. And when this was said, was very helpful. I is this right now. I is this right now. And now. And it really is so helpful because what this right now is not a woman with the kids and a body and blah, blah. It's this. It's what's being done right now. What's happening right now. I is this. Thank you.
Yeah. What does Kendall say? Impossible to pin down, otherwise it wouldn't be I. What does Amy say? The all cannot be defined without unlimited vocabulary. Anybody else want to share before we move to the book?
I'm just starting to just love Helen Hamilton. She is just the epitome of, I mean, she's just really hitting me right now. I love her wisdom. I love her gentleness. I love her strength. I love her clarity. She's like, wow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
I just want to share this. And I too, I had an experience with Helen Hamilton on for a month, just interacting with her, trying to find, well, where is that? Where is I with her? But I love her book, Dissolving the Ego, and then the last one. But last night I had a nice experience because I really had something happen with the neighbor in our trash can. And when I began to see I'm not the trash can, I'm not that trash can. I'm not the mind. I'm not the body. I'm not the car. I'm not my hand. I'm not. And then I asked that question that she poses, can the observer be observed? And it's sort of like what the guy was just saying. You just goes nowhere. Can the observer be observed? Can the seer be seen? So that nothingness. So I love it. I'll use the I as the observer and see where that goes. Nothing. I'm not, for me, I'm not the trash can. That just hits home. Thank you.
thank you. Sandra,
Hello, everyone. I had the immediate reaction that Amy expressed. Oh, I love her. And then within a nanosecond, as I was looking at her and listening to her, I thought, I am her. And then when the young man was on, I am him. It wasn't like I love her. It was like, it went from I love her to I am her. I love me. It was so cool.
you're putting words to an experience I have with Helen that I appreciate so deeply. For whatever reason, there's no aspect of me that ever puts her on a pedestal and makes her different or special. She always just shows up as this, beautiful being who was a mother who had a depression and asked for something else And she kept showing up for the work and showing up for the work and allowing herself to fall down. And I've known her work, long enough to be able to appreciate that she's so much more transparent and open than she was. But every time I'm in her space, I don't feel like I'm connecting with something that's different than me.
Exactly. And there was no limit. There was no defining difference in the space that I was. There was no defining difference at all. And it felt so warm and beautiful. And I often feel that here in this space with all of you. But this time it started with a love of her, and then quick, just like that, I am her.
Stunning. Hey, Rana.
The feeling that I have had since the beginning of being introduced to her, she's like your best high school girlfriend. Just that kind of love. I didn't grow up with sisters or brothers, you know what I mean? So that's like the closest that this human experience can come to. It's like it's immediately your best friend. She totally cares about you. And so then Sandra takes it further and she's like, this is a reflection of all that is, and I am that too. And, you just feel like you could go for a walk in the woods, and just hang out and be totally silent. You wouldn't have to say a thing. So that's just that level of love and comfort. And I too do feel that way in this room as well.
And I also felt it for the young man. It wasn't just her.
He was
Alrighty.
gorgeous, and I don't mean physically. His presence was so beautiful.
His excitement, like the excitement of being able to live in the experience of the present moment, the excitement of recognizing, ooh, the self is petrified. Ooh, it's so cool not knowing. Ooh, look at that fear. Ooh, he really described that so beautifully. All right, shall we read? And here's what'll happen, Diane, is I'm gonna pull up the screen share and show you where we ended. We ended right where Sandra said, keep reading, but we didn't. And I'll show you where that is. And we read until somebody unmutes or you choose to stop. And we say, wait a minute, I want to sink into this. That's like the rule, which means there is no rule. Anyone here has knows that they can unmute at any time and say, now, wait a minute, let's talk about this. That includes you. And we go until that happens. Do, 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 do. Oops. And we start right with human beings all agree that. You can see that.
Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Human beings all agree that what is tangible and visible to us is real. We believe that what we can see, hear, feel, touch, and smell is real, and what we cannot use and what we cannot use our senses to experience is unreal. We are programmed to ignore the tangible. Consider when the last time was that you noticed the space in the room first, or at all, before the objects you think are in it. Even if you are able to notice the space in a room, consider if you feel on some level that it is less real or important than the objects in the room. Most of us feel sure that the space in the room is different from the objects in it. And I can see that. To see the reality as it actually is, then, we must begin to challenge our familiar ways of thinking. Just because they are very familiar ways to think and everyone agrees with them does not mean they have ever been true. Reality is a formless awareness, and it is not vibrating in its ultimate state. Vibration arises from the still awareness, and so even vibration must be the awareness too.
Could you read that last paragraph again?
Okay. To see the reality as it actually is, then, we must begin to challenge our familiar ways of thinking. Just because they are very familiar ways to think and everyone agrees with them does not mean they have ever been true. Reality is a formless awareness, and it is not vibrating in its ultimate state. Vibration arises from the still awareness, and so even a vibration must be the awareness too.
Does
Can we
anyone
talk
have
about
a,
that?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would love to know what people think they just heard because there is a confusion arising here, which is interesting.
I'm thinking about Regina's 4 principles of God. Like with that first principle where that's not even consciousness yet, right? It's just there. It's not formless awareness, not vibrating, right? There's nothing and the potential of everything right there. And then vibration arises and that whole thing starts happening from there. It's like the prior to is what I'm feeling.
So you said Regina, and what was interesting is because the podcast we talked about yesterday with Michael Singer, he was talking about higher and lower degrees of vibration, and he said God has no vibration, it's still. And I've been really informed by that in a way that I don't understand. It's good. I know I don't know. I know I don't know. Hey, Amy.
This is really so beautiful. And it gets to what Rana said yesterday, which is that, you know, awakening, quote unquote, is, and Michael Singer said this, is allowing and experiencing more and more and more different levels of vibration, right? So it's letting it all in. It's not just recognizing that the lower vibrations aren't what you are. It's recognizing that you are all the vibrations and being aware of all the vibrations that are around you increasingly and increasingly. And it's ironic and paradoxical that the more we recognize and allow the lower vibrations to move, the more we recognize the higher vibrations. It's a paradox. But I remember the first time I really was confronted with the idea that first cause, all that is, has no objects in it. It doesn't have even any vibration. It's not even any movement. And I just thought that's just beyond my thinking mind. I can't imagine that. And maybe the thing is not to try. It's just like what this guy just said. I don't know what the I is. It's kind of a similar thing. It's beyond, it can only be experienced. It can't really be described.
Asking the question knowing that you won't get an answer. Hey, Diane.
Yeah, I found it very interesting the the whole stillness being still, like that like there's this attraction to that stillness. There's this attraction to be still, and it's just like the objects, the space in the room holds the objects. The stillness holds everything, all the vibrations. It's just, yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm sitting with. It's because I was very confused reading it and I couldn't, it's like the sentences didn't make any sense at all. And so yeah, but I am really experiencing that stillness, which is just like Nisargadatta, his that saying of my silence sings, my emptiness is full. That stillness is full. you know, I look around the room and I look at the space, it's just, it holds everything. It's full of everything. Anyway, thank you.
Shall we attempt to begin the next section, or is there more that wants to be said here? All right, Diane, are you ready?
I'm sorry, I was going to say I was confused by the, I thought I was with this until, really with it, up until does not mean they have ever been true. Got that. Then reality is the formless awareness and is not vibrating in its ultimate state. I got that. It was the last sentence that threw me, because now the formless, non-vibrating awareness is reality. And so that's what's in this last sentence. There's that thing, still awareness. That's what it's referring to. Still awareness is reality. And that is the formless, non-vibrating awareness. That's another way of saying it, still awareness. And so, so anything that arises from awareness must be awareness, right? So that's what that last part of this means. So stillness is reality, but when there's vibration, it arises out of the awareness, out of the reality. So it can't not be the reality. In other words, you can't get away from reality, just like you can't get away from God. There's no other thing. Yeah, I just found that one right there. Yeah, it is. It's she's doing an amazing job of describing something that's indescribable, I think.
How many times have you read this book?
This is it first.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, William.
What comes to my mind, and it's the mind putting a picture on it, is that those trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of cells, particles, atoms, whatever, in the space of nothing, that in the moment, there's no movement. It's before, but in the one moment, it's all there. So that to me, it's even before. It's that moment out of which everything occurs, but no cause, no because. It's just that moment. And that's the silent moment of, I don't know.
I was talking with a friend this morning, and she was talking about being able to hold grief and joy at the same time. She has tremendous grief. Her twin sister died last year. And she was talking about being in service through this whole experience. It was a stunning moment. Diane was with me, so that's her smile. But as I was listening to William, it brought me back to sitting in that space when she was describing this ability to hold both grief and this indescribable joy at the same time. And what arose as I was listening to William just now was that both of these, this energy of grief and this energy of joy, the way she was describing them, were two objects that were vibrating in the space that was still. So these objects that are being pointed to, they're not just garbage cans and cars and people. They're also these states of being, right? Or at least that's what's coming up here. Shall we see what's next on the page, or is there more? You ready, Diane?
All right, here we go. Example 2, a family member. For the second example, we will look at an object that appears to be external to ourselves and has great emotional value and meaning to us. You can substitute brother with sister, mother or father if you prefer. Most people, again, would agree that your brother is a real thing and that he has a life of his own separate from yours. Some people would agree that we are all one, and so their brother must be the same as them. Few people would want to question if their brother and themselves were even real. You are one of those people. How do I know that? I know it because you are reading this book. What is a brother, anyway? What I could call brother is really a human body that my mother gave birth to just like she did me. But brother cannot really be a human body. It must be something else. Where does my brother exist? Is he out there as a man I interact with and share parents with? Or is he in here as a thought, an idea, and a familiar set of memories involving one particular person? Is my brother both of these or neither? First, we will look at the out there part, in which my brother seems to be someone I see and can hug or even argue with. But that human body is not really a body. It's a bunch of organs, blood, tissues, and bone. When we look even closer, those tissues and organs become cells, and if we look even closer, we find molecules and DNA. If we look even closer, what we have called my brother is really a product of all the food my mother ate when she was pregnant and all the food my brother ate since birth. We could even say that what I have called my brother is simply food. Brother could also be seen as the product of a sperm and an ovum from my parents, and my parents are really just a product of 2 more sperms and ova, and so it goes. The sperm and the egg, as well as anything else, can be seen under a microscope to be simply vibration, and if we look closer, can be seen to be simply the formlessness. Now, the point of all of this is not to depress you, but to help you come to see that what you have valued as a separate, real, and dependable thing is not really so. As human beings, we like to find other humans that make us feel safer, such as family members, friends, and romantic partners. We keep telling ourselves they are outside and different from us, but it is never so. You are the formlessness, and you do not end. What you consider to be external to you really is not. There is nothing external or separate from you. What about the in here part of your brother? Inside my mind, my brother can exist in a way based on all the thoughts I have about him and the time we have spent together and how I think and feel about him. He exists as a set of thoughts and emotions and memories I think I have had based on the idea he is separate from me and I have a relationship with him. Can that relationship exist in reality if there is only me? All the meaning, value, and worth I put on my brother is really derived from the way the thoughts and memories in my head of him make me feel.
Shall we stop there for now? Feels like there's a question here about the inside brother and the outside brother and where they meet, and is one for me it's sisters, right? Or brother-in-laws or friends, more or less real.
That
The sense
almost that almost reminds me of your grief and what you were saying about your friend. The two simultaneously.
And having a couple of us were having a conversation, and David was there yesterday, and we were talking about interdependent co-arising. And I kind of wanted to say that out loud too, because this whole conversation about who I am and who my sisters are like a sort of random exchange between an egg and a sperm, which occurred because of some other random exchange between a vibrating cell. And that's part of this idea of interdependent co-arising. How many billions of different seemingly random things had to occur for us to all be here now? Irana.
Hey, yeah, I wrote that in the margin at the top of the page, especially when it was being described about food, right? The food your mom ate, and that's all the nutrients that went into it. And, I got a good giggle. So thank you, Cindy, for bringing that up. What was coming for me is the substitute unreal person that I was using as we were reading was my father and my husband. I have gathered great sense, right, of security, I think, from having those relationships. However, as that was arising, the idea came, it's the love. It's not the body, the father, the husband. It's the love and the care and all of those beautiful truths that are exchanged in whatever interdependent co-arising happens to be happening. And again, just because there's a sense that the physical DNA and cells and molecules of my father are not here in this dream illusion, the love, man, that was expressed and given and received and given back, is just exquisite, right? Cindy taught me about this when my cat left, right? Last Thanksgiving, a year ago, the cat left, and I had a bit of grief, and it was explained that the love for that cat is not because of the cat. It's because the love already exists here, and that's sort of a catalyst in the dream to get that turning and going. So, well, there's a part of this ego that is like, but there's a dad. I know that I hugged my dad, right? At the same time, there's a feeling of, yeah, and there's more. Yes, and yes, and yes, and. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you. As it was coming up and you were saying all those things, another thing that came up in the same conversation Diane and I were a part of this morning was this idea that somebody had asked our friend, or had said to our friend that she was finding it difficult to connect with the formlessness because of the density of her body. And it was an interesting thing to look at, this idea that we hold our physical form separate from the love if the physical form's not in place. And even as I'm saying this, I'm recognizing the confusion that is still sitting here relative to that statement. Is there anything about my physical form, the sensations, the pain, the fact that it's sitting in a space different from those people I care the most about, that appears to limit my experience, my direct experience of love or truth or consciousness or God or whatever? It just came up as I was listening to your beautiful expression, Rana. Thank you. William, then I was going to invite David to talk about what he just posted.
5 words keep occurring to me. 1, not 2, no I.
Do you know what that means for you?
For me, it's not one, it's just one. This moment, now, now, now. One, not two. And there's no I. I like what the fellow said earlier with Helen. No I. It's just being, being, being.
Thank you. I'm having a very thick thing. The whole purpose of us getting together, supposedly, well, all of an open door, right, is the direct experience. And there is a real thinking in here. There's a real energetic experience occurring here that the intellect has no way of, or no, there's no desire here to attempt to contain it within words, other than to express that something is occurring. So if it's okay, Sandra, David posted in the chat, and I would love for you to either read it or talk about it or something if you're open to that, David, as
Let's
opposed
hear
to me.
Sandra first. I'd love to hear her.
Sandra.
Go ahead, Sandra.
I was, as we were reading this, I was so grateful that I had seen the video of Helen before reading this. I had not read these pages. And as we were reading it, it's exactly what you said, Cindy. I had that direct experience with that video, and then I'm reading this, which is logically trying to convince my mind that this is true. And I realize, I mean, it's so clear to me that all of these words are no substitute for what I experienced when I knew I was her. These words don't even begin to describe it. And I understand the reason for the words and the logic. There's a very clear logic here. And I do that, and it just made it clear to me that so often I intellectualize all of this through the logic and the reasoning, and because it's an old habit of doing that. And the ego gets something out of it too. But I was so happy that I got to see that so clearly. No substitute at all.
The fact that Sandra muted herself, David, leads me to believe that you're up.
Okay. Well, you know, the first, I'm glad the Sandra was on there. It's almost like I want to say what she said, because it's so, I mean, when I started typing what I typed there, I have no, it's just, you know, it was just like a glimpse. I had a glimpse, and it doesn't have to make any sense. Like you said, there are no words to describe what I was feeling and knowing at that instant. It just was, or it just is. And it's almost, and you know, you know, when we start talking about the I, and it's just like, you know, like I've said, you know, the deeper I go, the more I know that I don't know, and that's and like I say, maybe I open the door, maybe it's a trap door in the floor, and down through the trap door, or you know, through the looking glass, or through the magic portal, or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's this, whatever that is, and I don't know, I can't describe it, but I can know it, and I'm learning more about it, because there's no limit to the knowing that's available, and today it was just coming to me, and like I say, whatever it is, I love it, and I can't wait till another door opens, or I take another step down there and find out some more stuff, because it's everything that ever is or ever will be is there just for the taking. It's so, and I keep thinking about Robert Frost sitting in the circle, sitting in the center of the circle and knowing. And I want to be in the circle with Robert Frost, and I want to do a whole bunch more knowing. And that's what I have to say about that.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, well, I don't either.
Robert
That
Frost.
makes two of us.
But with Robert Frost sitting
Yeah.
in the center of the circle, I don't, is that a poem?
But you know this, you know the poem, we sit around this, we dance around in the circle and suppose it, but the knowing sits in the center and knows.
Yeah, I don't know the
Or
poem.
the secret sits in the center and knows. It's a Robert Frost poem.
Gotta look for it.
Just, and it's just like, the knowing is just there. I mean, we're sitting around, I'm one of the sitting around and supposing kind of guys. And and it's just like it's almost like I don't even need to suppose. I just need to sit there and shut up and open my mind, and the knowing will come visit me. And it's because it's all there. And I don't know. I know that doesn't make it not a lot of sense, and a lot of it doesn't make any sense to me. But then it also makes all the sense at the same time. So. Hey,
I don't know. There's tears here, David. This idea of just sitting and relaxing and the knowing will come and know me or something
Yeah.
like that. Is that what you said? It
Yes.
feels like I'm wrapping myself in the warmest, most gorgeous Afghan that my grandmother made me with love. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, but when I think about that, I'm sitting in this plain, this field, and I'm sitting there, and for some reason I either have a red blanket around me or a red hat on the top of my head, and I don't know why it has to be red, but it does. And I'm just sitting there in the everything, and the everything is coming to me and is me, and everything is me, and I am everything, and boy, that feels good. And it's just, I mean, I can't come up with words to describe what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling or what I'm knowing, but it's there.
Feeling. And thank you, Odsy. She put the quote in the chat. We dance around in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows. Hey, Amy.
I guess now I'm going to say what David said. What was coming to me was just being full circle and recognizing, okay, my brother, as what I think of my brother, doesn't really exist. But then that is me, right? I'm only meeting myself. And what a great thing that is, and it's the golden rule, treat the other as yourself because that is what they are. And of course, this says when we do that, this institutes a chain of helpfulness and harmlessness, which always leads to the atonement and becomes a powerful part of its beneficence. And I just love that. I'll read it again. So when we meet your brother, your sister as yourself, it institutes a chain of helpfulness and harmlessness, which always leads to the atonement and becomes a powerful part of its beneficence. What a great word, beneficent. I love that.
And where are you reading from?
I'm reading from chapter 4, the ego struggle to preserve itself, part 9, asking and following, paragraph 8, and sentence, I think it's 2. So this just comes full circle. There isn't anyone there. What is there, though, is me.
All right. There's no hands up. Should we read a little more? We have time. Okay. Ready, Diane? All yours.
Oh, there it is. Uh, now, okay, I think we're at the now at the point, that one. Yes.
Yes.
Now, the point of all this is not to depress you, but to help you come to see that what you have valued as separate, real, and dependable, as a real and dependable thing is not really so. As human beings, we like to find other human beings that make us feel safer. Did I read that?
Doesn't matter. You can keep
Oh.
going.
Such as family members, friends, and romantic partners, we keep telling ourselves they are outside and different from us, but it is never so. You are the formlessness, and you do not end. What you consider to be external to you really is not. There is nothing separate or external from you. What about the... Oh, I did read that. What about the in here part of your brother? Inside my mind, my brother can exist in a way based on all the thoughts I have about him and the time we have spent together and how I feel and think about him. He exists as a set of thoughts and emotions and memories I think I have had based on the idea he is separate from me and I have a relationship with him. Can that relationship exist in reality if there is only me? All the meaning, value, and worth I put on my brother is really derived from the way the thoughts and memories in my head of him make me feel. Today, I may argue with my brother, and so my thoughts about him will be different from what they were yesterday when I feel happy to be with him. As my brother grows and changes, my thoughts about him change too, and so even the idea I have of him is constantly changing and not stable, just as my ideas about myself are too. We can do this with every single person in our lives and come to the same conclusion that they really do not exist as separate entities, no matter how much we have wanted to believe they do. Once we begin to see that they are inside of us and they are us, we will no longer be able to externalize them, and we will not be broken if they leave us or pass away. It is good practice to see that the body you so highly value as yourself is actually a sperm and an egg and some borrowed DNA from your parents. When you eat a sandwich, it is digested and becomes a part of your body. When exactly did it stop being a sandwich, and when did it become a human body? When did it stop being a sandwich, and when did it start being me? If we continue to think this way for even a short while, it will allow us to begin to dissolve the idea that objects we have valued most dearly are really there at all. Oh yes, we're dissolving that idea. What we have valued is how those imagined objects make us feel. You may find this very shocking, weird, or strange to think about, but let's remember that you are simply finding out how this has always been. You are coming to see what reality has always been. I am simply helping you to break down what you have assumed was true and to find the courage to let go of some of your most prized assumptions.
Oh my. We got to the end of the chapter.
I just want to say what is reminded in me is Byron Katie. She talks about people like my husband is apparently out there in another room, and but really all he is a thought here. He may or may not even be there, right? Until I see him, and then even then that's still a thought. It's a very interesting concept. Yeah.
So
Well, who would I know about
everything,
my story? Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, Diane.
No,
were
go
you
ahead.
gonna-
No, go.
So everything is me because there is no actual me, right? So when we say that, it's one thing. I've just segmented it into a me. When I say it's in me, there's no in me either. That's part of the illusion that there's an inside and an outside and all these directions. So when we say me, we're just sort of again using a word to point to it's all me. Can't wait to hear what Amy has to say.
Well, first what were those 5 words again, William?
Oh, one, not two. No duality, just one, just one, just one.
1, not 2, no I. Was that the 5 words?
Yeah, and no I. Because no words, no anything, just being and no being even. It's a, can the observer be observed? Can the I be observing? I just feel that absence now. There's an absence, and when they talk about subtraction instead of addition, it makes so much sense because I'm always wanting more and more and more to improve. When really it's just take away, not I'm not the trash can. No, I'm not me. I'm not this. I'm not. Oh, I'm not even I. Wow. Wow. And like that saying, there are only 3 words: yes, no, and wow. And the wow is really, I don't know. I know nothing. So I just think that resonates. It's so, talk about being enveloped in that moment of now with no words. There's no blanket, no nothing. It's just.
Amy.
I just what comes to my mind is it's just such a great mystery. And there's so much magic and beauty in this mystery. And Diane was saying her husband is in the other room, and then Rana talking about her father and her husband, and it came to me, my experience has been that the more I like myself, the more I do this work and recognize I am the love and that I am invulnerable, the more I have extended that in my relationships, and how those relationships now are mirroring back from me in real time, that love, how they're shifting, changing, morphing, transmuting into more love that's being reflected back and out of them. And that the mystery of it is just so amazing and so beautiful to see. And it's, like what Sandra said, you have to experience it. There aren't any words that can really describe it. But the experience, and it's taken a decade, and it's still changing. It's still growing and encompassing more. That the more love I give, the more acceptance I share, the more helpfulness, the more it just comes back. And I have no knowing when it's going to come back or how it's going to come back. I just get to experience it coming back and recognizing, oh, it's, and it's just an amazing mystery. It's lovely. Thank you.
Sandra.
I'll be quick. There is a me. It's just not the me I thought it was. There is an I. And then the second point is, yes, there is a subtraction, but then, Amy, thank you so much for what you said. You kept saying more, more, more. It's not less, it's more exponentially, more and more and more beyond it. It's not less.
William.
Well, I just want to add this, that over 20, 30 years ago, when I lost my son, I didn't realize at the time, now, what it meant. I lost everything. I lost myself. I lost him. It's like life was over. That feeling of just that identity that I've been hanging on to, him, me, the two, whatever. So I see now, though, it's that losing, that feeling lostness, that everything I've been holding on to is gone. And the relief and freedom when I get through the trap door of whatever. But it's there, it's palpable, and it's so scary and so wonderful. So, and I didn't have the awareness, the understanding back then, 30 years ago, that I have today. But even so, it's still letting go because I keep grabbing. I like an identity. I want to hold on to it. My mind keeps wanting, wait a minute, grab. But to let go, let go. Really let go without reaching, holding on to anything. Am I up to it? We'll find out.
And with that, I'm turning the recorder off. Man, I love us.